Darkstar here, welcome back, Doom Slayers. This is my top map series for the Doom games, and it is time to cover the last of the community chests, that being number 4. Like last time, I will first list the 5 worst or least good maps, and then the 5 best maps. If you are asking if this community chest is better than number 3, well, I will get to that later. However, some of the 5 lowest maps in Chest 4 are a completely different story with some new negative things that I will have to show, along with some cons that I have already mentioned in the previous videos. Alright, let's begin with a negatives list. Number -5, Map 14, Downriver. This map may be moderately decent, however there are a few problems with it. For example, the design may be lacking in proper detail. Some of the monster encounters are not good. For example, you might have to face strong enemies, including archviles in cramped rooms, tight spaces, and narrow pathways. It's not exactly horrible, but it is not amazing either. Number -4, Map 7, Hoedown. This map does have some good things in it. The best things in the map are the outside areas. However, the indoor areas are cheaply designed because some places have narrow pathways. The rooms are bland, especially the second area because the monster placement and the room concepts are not good. A lot of the indoor areas have low ceilings, which makes this map feel even more cramped than it already is. Every indoor area you're going to see is a tight space with a wave of tough enemies. That is never good. Again, bad monster placement and bad level design. Number -3, Map 15, Decomposition. I do not like this map because it is very difficult to do a pistol start. The mapping is lazy and not impressive at all. Like I said, cramped rooms, tight spaces, and narrow pathways, which fits both for ledges and halls. Even the outside areas do not have enough space to roam around, and they have a ton of enemies all over the place. The room with the poison is probably the worst room due to how one of the connecting areas is a very small room where a key is, which also has a Hell Baron inside it, which is a tough enemy. That is never a good thing for a map. The same room also has a tedious gimmick where you have to wait for bridges to slowly raise to get from one area to the next. Cramped and tedious are terrible features in a map, and that puts this map at a bad spot. Number -2. Map 32, Muter. This map is terrible, and you will notice at the start that it will be filled with narrow pathways, and the map layout is incredibly cramped and sloppy simply because the gimmick that this person was trying to make was to make the map's walls open up when you get to certain spots. When you press on a switch or step over a certain spot, you will have to find the next spots until you can get to the exit. However, when you are looking for the next objective, you will get lost very easily because the switches and floors you have to step on can be very hidden in very obscure spots. This way of getting through the level is not simple. It is a complete cluster hell, and that is the term that best describes this map. I'm glad this is the super secret level because I guarantee that a lot of people that found this level have thought they were unlucky. I hate this level, convoluted and confusing with so many bad things in it. But what is even worse than a secret map that's convoluted? A non-secret map that is convoluted, because the map that is the worst is number -1, Map 18, Suburbia. You should know that if you try to play this map with a fresh start, it is one of the hardest maps to do. So you should recap all the things that make a map terrible. But you may ask how the map looks terrible. Well, the design of the map is not terrible because the appearance of the map is the wolf in sheep clothing. Yes, while this map is hard, with bad pathing, bad monster placement, and narrow pathways, those are not the sole reason why I put this map in the number 1 worst spot. If you want to find out what the worst thing about this map is, you know what, before I tell you, if you have not played this map before, I want all of you to go and try to beat this map without cheats. And without looking up walkthroughs. Seriously, go and play it, then come back. So, did you beat the level? If you beat the level without looking up walkthroughs and cheats, then you literally have the eye of the tiger. But if you got stuck, then that is the reason. What is the first key that you have to get? Well, let me show you. The first key is hidden in a tiny room where the only way to look inside to see where it is is through a small, grated window in a very narrow angle, and there you will be able to find the key in there. But that is not all. To get into the room, you have to shoot the tiny switch with a ranged hit scan weapon, which will temporarily open the door into the room in order to get the first key. If the door shuts before you get the key, you will have to shoot the switch again. Why can't players just simply open the door? That is not what someone would do for an actual objective. That is something that is supposed to be made for a super secret area. That is extremely convoluted and cryptic. That is a standard for Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest and Milon's Secret Castle. If you have to uncover something that is extremely obscure in order to progress through the map, then that destroys the entire experience for the map. So that covers the 5 worst maps in the Megawatt. So will the 5 best maps balance out the negative side? Let's find out and see by checking the best 5. Number 5. Map 10, Interfere. This map may look like it was made by an averagely talented mapper, however this map was actually made by an interesting individual that I have mentioned. Dutch Devil, that's right, this guy did not fail with a new map. The detail and layout he made for this Hell Palace is definitely great. The big challenge for this map is to watch out for enemies that spawn out of the teleporters, and you will have to revisit some rooms more than once, which does add more gameplay. One of Dutch Devil's good works. Number 4. Map 16, The Forgotten Base. Now whether you have got to this map from the super secret level Mu Tear or map 15 Decomposition, this map will feel like a breath of fresh air. Not only that, but it will have a new flavor to it because this map brings a completely new experience. What you see at the start is for most of the map, so yes, the interior of the 4 buildings are all that's left in the map, but this map will also have a lot of good infighting like they have for the courtyard. While the rooms in the buildings are small, the monster placement inside them is justifiable. This map may seem that it is too small, but do not let that fool you because there is more than enough gameplay in this map and the exterior sides of the buildings look great, so you should try this map out. Number 3. Map 27, Volcano 2. Out of most of the Hell levels in Community Chest 4, this map has one of the best level designs. The red rocky caves and the outdoor areas look phenomenal. There is enough space to fight the waves of enemies in each area. The hazards and the platforming in this level are fun to get around, especially this big area. It is the most fun area in this entire map. This is what the interior of Hell should look like. Amazing Hell level. Big and great gameplay here. Number 2. Map 20 and 21, Interstellar Sickness and Shaman's Device. Yes, once again, 2 maps in one spot, this time for number 2. These 2 maps are huge, fun, and have great space station themes, and again, they are made by one guy. They go hand in hand and are part 1 and part 2. These 2 maps have an interesting story and campaign where you will have to sometimes encounter a strange figure, which is actually a texture but depicted as the antagonist of the 2 levels. A virus that you will have to stop and destroy. There is so much gameplay in these 2 maps, and the mapping is definitely very reminding of popular space genre series like Star Wars. Fitting that I mentioned that because Interstellar Sickness is like the light side of the space station complex, while Shaman's Device is the bigger and dark side of a space station complex. Each having great concepts of obstacles that you will have to get through with things like holograms and space portals and giant hazards. Both are big and filled with very fun gimmicks that you should try out. And now for the honorable mentions. Honorable Mention 1, Map 2, Slugfest. The well-known mapper Skillsaw is back to bring new level elements. This time there are 2 keys, but you will have to choose which one to pick, then you will have to make it back out from the certain key area. Then when you have both keys, you will have to make it through the middle area, then get to the exit. One thing Skillsaw likes to put in his maps are his own tricks and traps, and he definitely had his original tricks up his sleeves with this one. Honorable Mention 2, Map 11, The Grotto. This is a giant non-linear map that will require you to get all 6 keys. This map is fun, but it is also very easy to get lost because of how its non-linear progression is paired up with its gigantic size. Because remember, this map has barely any guides, And the keys are not the only things that you will have to get, but also press certain switches, so if you miss a switch, you will have to backtrack almost everywhere. Honorable Mention 3, Map 13, Viral Implant. This is a well-made Dark Palace map. I love the textures around this map, which definitely reminds me of some well-made maps from the ZPack. The only downside about this map is that it is not big enough. Even though the size of the corridors and paths are very good, I would put this as one of the best if it had way more to explore. Number 1. Map 28, Crucifix Held Close. Not only is this map big, but it is also very well detailed. It actually is a bit non-linear in a very good way. The building you see at the start has way more than enough room to navigate and battle the enemies on the inside. There are an abundance amount of caves and palaces to explore, each having little to no cons that I have mentioned. The decorations in the palaces are great, and nothing around the map hinders the experience. The transitioning between the areas are also perfect. The navigation in this map is simple, making it very player-friendly and not cryptic at all. Everyone who gets this map pack should try out this map. This map is just that good. And that lists the top 5 best and worst maps in this megawad. So you may be asking, which of the 4 community chests are the best? Well, you already know that the first is the worst, the second is the second worst, and as for the third and fourth, I will say that the megawad that is the most fun and the one with the least worst maps is Community Chest 3. While 2 and 4 do have their own amazing maps, and 4 is better than 2, 3 just wins out of all of the others. That completes the lists for the community chests. I will later do a top 10 best maps in the ZPack, some of which have way better maps than the best maps in the community chests. So with that, good ladies and gentlemen, have a great life.